Good afternoon, young people. Good afternoon, everyone. It's Dr. Donovan Washington coming to you live today from the offices of the South Atlantic Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. Welcome to day three of our current events and hot topics roundtable at the South Atlantic Conference Youth and Young Adult Virtual Camp Meeting. Hope beyond the headlines. We have had a great time in this space all week long. We've had fun with our icebreakers. We've had some pretty hot topics and current events that we've talked about, some heavy stuff. And it's been a real blessing. It's been real fun interacting with you. We usually would do something like this in Orangeburg, South Carolina, but we are here. And we're making the best of it. And I think God has really blessed us throughout the week. Let's deal with a few housekeeping items before we get started. I've heard from many of you who said, Pastor, I want to be a part of the roundtable. In the next couple of days, I'm going to be including you. You have room too. If you still want to be a part of this, or if you want to be a part of our evening services, you have a song, there's a poem you want to read. Any young person that wants to be involved can always be involved in South Atlantic Conference activities. Just hit me up here. I'm on social media. You can send me a direct message on any social media site, or you can send me an email, and we will make sure we include you in the process. Could you also do me a favor? Would you be kind enough to share this on Facebook? If you're watching on Facebook, share it to your page. If you're watching on YouTube, copy the link. Pass it on to someone. Let them know it's time for the youth camp meeting, current events, and hot topics roundtable. Okay. And I think it's the best roundtable in the land. There's some popular actress that has a red table, but we don't got crazy folk on ours. Okay. We talk good stuff. We edify you. We build you up. And we hope that you indeed enjoy. Now, if you're tuned into us right now, also, feel free to go ahead and jump in the comments. Let us know you are here. Interact with us throughout the day. We're going to make sure we have good conversation and some fun along the way. And we definitely want to hear from you. I am not here by myself. We have some awesome panelists today. Our panelists all week have been amazing. And we have some awesome panelists on today, starting with someone you've seen already this week preaching, my good friend, my colleague, Pastor Tina Carriger. Pastor Carriger, welcome to the broadcast today. Thank you for being here with us. If you missed her Sunday night, go back, watch it again. That's the power of doing this stuff virtually. You can go back and watch it. You will indeed be blessed by her message. She's a powerhouse preacher, and she's a wonderful friend. Greet everybody, Pastor Carriger. Tell them what's going on in your life, maybe even some things at your church. Who knows?
Who knows?
Enjoy. The floor is yours, sister.
Good afternoon, South Atlantic Conference. Thank you again, Dr. Washington, for allowing me to be a part of your roundtable discussion. I appreciated the disclaimer that you issued that this is not the red table talk like, a certain somebody has where they're discussing all manner of foolishness, but this is a table talk where we're able to converse and talk about things from a spiritual perspective. Amen, somebody.
Yes. We don't need no entanglements.
We don't need no entanglements.
We don't need to see no broken brothers trying to hold it together. No. We lift up Christ and him crucified.
Amen.
Right here in this space. And we thank God that you are here with us, Pastor Carriger, and we look forward to your input. Welcome, Pastor Adams. Thank you for joining us. One of the best pastors in America, Pastor Adams, began with me working at junior camp. We thank you for joining us. Brother McLean, somebody beat you today from Durham, man, but we're happy that they have you on in the great Emmanuel Temple family. Sister Gordon, I think we might be in the office together today, Sister Gordon, but thank you for joining us and watching our program. Sister Dixon. Yes, I got the email. And we will get her on tomorrow. Okay. After this program, I'm going to respond to the email and we will get Chloe on. I think that'll be a wonderful idea. We want to support everybody up there at Mount Calvary. All right. I have another friend with me today. She's a dynamic educator and a longtime friend. We came up together in Greensboro, North Carolina for a season. And this is none other than Miss Phaidra Wright. Phaidra, thank you so much for joining us. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and anything you want to share with the young people before we get started?
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. As stated, my name is Miss Phaidra Wright. I'm a Georgia Peach. I'm here in Georgia with Greater Empower Tutoring. I'm a mom. I'm a homeschooling mom. At GMP Tutoring, we focus on academic support. So if your kids are struggling, reach out to us. But it's a pleasure to be here to talk and chit chat and try to get these parents and kids on one accord because it's all love. At the end of the day, we love you and we want y'all to be saved.
All right. Hey, I agree. And I can't think of two better people to talk to today. Welcome, Peggy Roy. Thank you for supporting every day. June calendar. Phaidra smiling. She know who Peggy Roy is. And welcome all our friends from Abney Chapel, Seventh-day Adventist Church. Cornisha Hicks.
Cornisha.
Folks are going to see you. I think Friday night we got you on, Cornisha. And this is our Georgia Youth Federation president, always representing, an educator herself. Thank you for joining us. Tony is representing the Georgia Peaches out there. Thank you, Tony. All these Georgia Peaches out there. Good fruit, and good people. And we thank you for watching, you and your family. And all these educators are on the day. You're going to enjoy our discussion then with all of these educators today. Well, folks, you know what time it is. It's time for our icebreaker. Have y'all been enjoying the icebreakers this week? We had heated debates this week. Monday, we talked about the best breakfast cereal. And I let all y'all know that number one was grits.
Wow.
Nothing better.
Wow.
Not sugar on them. Butter, salt.
That's right.
And hot sauce.
Right.
No.
Yes. No sugar goes on. See, I already have rebels on the panel today. Yesterday, we talked about favorite desserts for our icebreaker.
Uh-huh.
And I put number one, chocolate cake.
Yes, sir. Okay. You better preach the word now.
And I got a lot of pushback. Watch this, because I left banana pudding off the list completely. All right. But banana pudding is hit and miss because y'all use the cheap cookies. You don't use the Nabisco vanilla wafers, okay? You use the great value cookies and it's hit and miss, okay? But we can't have that. Welcome, Sister Bonnie. Thank you for joining us again today. Quinn Cousins is checking in from Atlanta. He said, I see you got God's preacher today. Dr. Tina E. Carriger. You better believe it. And she will be a doctor soon. I know about her project. It was pretty outstanding. So there you go, Quenisha. Quenisha agrees. She's put the throw up emoji. Hot sauce and grits. We are taking your Georgia Peach away, Quenisha Hicks. We're taking it away, okay? We're taking it away. Hello, Nicole. Thank you for joining us from Virginia. Thank you so much. Here's Pastor Newbill talking junk. You are suspect because you said key lime pie was disgusting. Now I have to question everything that comes out of your mouth. Well, you question it, Ricky. You question it. But I'll stand on that mountain that key lime pie is awful. It's awful, okay? I don't even know what a key lime is, all right? It's awful, okay? And he greets Tina as well, okay? Here's the old apostate apostle Quinn Cousins saying hot sauce and grits, I need prayer. No, Quinn, you are a Jesuit priest, and you are making stuff.
Right? How quickly this tide is changing. First, they are bishops of South Atlantic.
Yeah. All right. Got my aunt even turning against me. Well, let's get to today's icebreaker. And this is a funny icebreaker. So we're going to need your participation on this. We do an icebreaker every day before we get into the heavy stuff. And I'm going to begin today's icebreaker with a little funny TikTok video. Let's check it out.
I thought you want to see the animals. I'm good. No!
Yeah.
Let's watch it again. Just to set it up a little bit. Let's watch it again. It's a little boy at one of those animal parks.
Mm-hmm.
And what he's saying is roll the window up, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's terrified of the little animal, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's watch it again. Sister Khalees is already laughing. Come on, let's go ahead and watch it again.
I thought you want to see the animals. I'm good. No!
Poor thing
So,
is traumatized.
the little boy is terrified. All right.
Mm-hmm.
They thought this would be a good thing to take the little boy there, but he's terrified. And he's hollering in a familiar black way. We've all been little kids terrified of stuff. Our Federation president is telling us on Facebook right now, I've been there before, okay? I've been there before. Peggy is saying they should be ashamed of themselves, threatening that baby with the ostrich. Now something tells me people of other persuasions would have been like, that's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Look at the beautiful animal.
Oh,
this
yeah.
is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something about our kids.
Oh, yeah.
That get terrified of things. Pastor Cousin says he was like, I'm good. I'm good. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cordesia says, I feel him. Okay. Now I've been to a park like that and had a moment like that. There was a cow that stuck his head in the window, and I threw the whole cup of food at the cow. Okay. So here's our icebreaker today.
Mm-hmm.
Here's our icebreaker today. Okay. We love icebreakers here. Here's our icebreaker today. The top 5 things Black kids are afraid of. Okay. Now we're going to debate this. But let's go with the top 5 things Black kids are afraid of. Black kids have a special fear of certain things. And you've been there too. I'm pretty sure there's somebody on this line that has been terrified by something on my list. But you may want to add or subtract in order to what's on the list. My wife is checking in saying those places are terrifying. Don't let me put up pictures of when the pastor went. Let me tell you something. How dare you, Tahira Washington, blackmail me on my own program? How dare you? Okay. All right. Cornisha said already we've left off animals. Pastor Adams says, where's Chuck E. Cheese?
Thank you, Pastor Adams. Listen, I was going to jump in. See, Dr. Washington, you are showing our ages are being shown because ain't no Ronald McDonald's rocking around at McDonald's anymore. Chuck E. Cheese is the place where kids are afraid of the mouse. It took my son at least a whole month, before he would walk up into Chuck E. Cheese to celebrate his birthday. Yes, Chuck E. Cheese needs to be in place of the Ronald McDonald.
Mercy. What do you have to say about this, Sister Wright?
Oh man, for me it would be the swimming, but that's just because I thought I was going to drown one time, so that put a little damper in it. But I'm back. So that's swimming, and I think there's a historical thing within our culture.
Well, yes. Well.
But it's,
right.
yeah.
So let me break down my top 5 in order. Okay. All right. Black kids are afraid of clowns, y'all. If you think you're going to have a peaceful birthday party and bring a clown, it's going to be a terror scene, because one of those kids inevitably is going to start hollering and running. Black kids are terrified of clowns, particularly the number one perpetuator of fear, Ronald McDonald. Now, when we were kids, and I can say this about me and Phaidra, and maybe you too, when you went to McDonald's, there'd be whole people dressed up
Whole people.
Like not the picture. It would be old
Mhm.
people dressed up as Ronald McDonald,
Mhm.
Hamburglar,
Yep.
Grimace. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And they would be there, and it would send black kids running. The little
Mhm.
white kids would be hugging, and oh, it's Ronald. Or can I get a picture? No, black kids would break out in all different directions. So I'm putting Ronald McDonald clowns, no debate about it. That has to be on the list. Number 4 is hilarious because this affects grown black people too. Never go to
Yeah.
a all black swim party because guess what? Nobody's gonna be in the pool.
Hmm.
Nobody. Okay. Everybody's gonna be protecting their hair, swimming in this icebreaker today. I'm here to let you know black folk, particularly black kids, are afraid of. When you watch the Olympics, every now and then one of us might win a medal, but but usually we're on the track. We're not in the pool, okay? Because black people have a fear of swimming. I'm coming to you, panelists, and we're going to come to the comments in a minute. Now, listen, Santa Claus is undefeated in striking fear in young black people. Undefeated. Okay. Santa Claus, if you go and try to get a picture with Santa Claus, so many young black kids have a picture with Santa Claus with tears streaming down their face because he is terrifying. Okay. And black kids don't like sitting with Santa Claus. Now, every church, come on, East Market Street, every church had an old school deacon that kept you in line. Come on now. Every church. And when you were a kid, you didn't want to chew gum around them. Listen, I grew up in the days where it was perfectly legal for somebody else to spank you. Perfectly legal. Okay. And usually the deacons had that authority. So I was afraid of old school deacons. And listen, I don't think there's much debate in number 1. What struck terror in your heart more than anything than your parents say, go and get the belt. Go and get a switch. Especially if you were in the tub.
Oh man.
If you were in the tub,
Yes,
that was worse than Freddy Krueger. That was worse than Jason on Nightmare on Elm Street. Folks who are just logging in, we're doing the icebreaker today. And our icebreaker is the top 5 things that black kids are afraid of. What inspired this discussion, let me go back to it. Let me show the video one more time, was this video. Let me start it over again.
I thought you want to see the animals. I'm good. No! Stop it! What
That cracks me up. Tina, you know you want to laugh. I know you're trying to hold it together and not laugh at the little boy's terror, but I see you holding back a laugh every time. All right, let me get some feedback from the panel, and then we'll go to the comments about my list. Tina, what are you seeing today?
So first of all, I just want to know if you got any feedback from your own children about this list, because some of these things are relative to our generation and not theirs. So you over here talking about Ronald McDonald clowns. I mean, you over here talking about, now the swimming thing I can maybe see, but kids like to go into the swimming pool. Santa Claus, really? Did you ask your children about what they're afraid of before you compiled this list? I don't think you did.
You know what, Pastor Carriger? You grew up in Nebraska, and black people from and black people from Nebraska are a little different. They're a little different. Let me tell you, my wife is co-signing on this. She says that kids are afraid of any costume character. One of my daughter's birthday parties, I had the audacity, and this picture still exists on Facebook, to show up as Super Grover, but I was Husky Atkins free Super Grover, okay, and it terrified all the kids. I'm talking about pure terror, all the kids, okay, and so yes, I know what I'm talking about. I referenced it, okay. Some kids don't know about number 1. That's true. That's true.
Yes.
All right. Quenisha says, I hated Chuck E. Cheese birthday parties.
Yes.
What? Only black kids have this experience. Only
Yeah.
black kids. Virginia Brown says mine is Heights. Okay. Or
Yeah.
Treen Gordon is getting a good laugh out of this. Everybody says they like the TV on. They like the characters on TV, but not in person.
Not in person.
Pastor Newbill gives his list. He says, number 1, the belt switch, of course. Number 2, old school church mama. Uh-oh. Here's a funny one. Number 3, darkness. All y'all had night lights. All y'all had night lights growing up. All of y'all. All of y'all. Thank you for joining us, Brittany. She's having a good time with that. Pastor Adam says, I was afraid of black Santa. Look at that. He was colonized. He said the white Santa was okay. But if I saw black Santa, that was a violation. Okay.
A violation.
Thank you, Pastor Humphreys, for joining us today. Some churches still have old school deacons. That is true. Or the usher. Yes. Or the usher. Brittany confesses. There's some people confessing. She said she was afraid of clowns and probably still is. Okay. And
now I'll say that when I was a kid, even though other kids might have been okay with this, I was afraid of church lock-ins. Now, some people think that that's fun time, but I was like, I don't know about these church buildings, after dark. It's fine in the daytime when we're worshiping, but you lock the doors of the church house. I don't know what's going to happen up in there.
All right. Phaidra, give me some feedback on the list.
Oh, so for me, dogs, just dogs. I don't know. Somebody else on here, Nicole said I would add dogs. I'm with her on that one. I have too many stories, and my sister can attest. It does not get nice. I've gotten better, but it's not pretty with me and unknown dogs.
Did black families grow up with dogs in the house, like kissing the dog in the mouth and putting the clothes on dogs? Did y'all grow up like that? Because when a dog belonged outside when I grew up, you know what I mean? It was on the chain. You threw it scraps. Nobody took it for a walk or nothing. It was just running around. Now dogs are kind of treated like people, and I don't see a lot of black people that kind of had that experience. Pastor Adam says we didn't like church lock-ins because our churches were in the hood.
Exactly.
Sister Hendricks said, no way. Okay. And the people are saying they didn't grow up with dogs like that. Yeah, dogs were yard dogs.
Yeah.
And so, all right. And then Peggy says, we don't kiss dogs in the mouth. Now, well, a lot of people do. A lot of people will let a dog eat off their plate. Okay. But black people have a unique experience. We had a lot of fun with that, y'all. This provoked a lot of discussion, and we had a lot of fun with that. But outside of dogs and darkness, it looks like our list is pretty complete. And let me tell you something, Tina. Black kids are afraid of Santa Claus. I'm telling you. Okay.
Well, here's the thing. Maybe my perspective is different because my kids, I don't subscribe to Santa Claus. So, they know who the character is, but they don't have any fear because they know that Joker ain't real. And sure enough, didn't give them no Christmas presents.
She says, my dog lives in the house, but does not eat off anybody's plate and does not kiss anybody in the mouth. Okay, listen, the black experience is undefeated. And I'm glad we had fun with our icebreaker today. That was a lot of fun. And I hope you had some fun too. You can go back and check out the video and discuss it even further in the comments if you'd like to add some more. But I think our list is pretty whole. I can't wait for our icebreaker tomorrow. I feel like showing that video again, but I don't want to traumatize Tina, who doesn't want to laugh at the little boy. Okay. Let's go to our main topic today that we're going to talk about. We're going to switch to something that's very important. And we want your input just as much as you gave input in the icebreaker. We want your input on this. Today, we're going to talk about parent-child conflict management. Okay. Parent-child conflict management. We cannot pretend that we don't have conflict in our homes. Everybody is not the Brady Bunch. Everybody is not the Cosby Show. And even though those shows show conflict, it is still kind of glorified because everyone gets along at the end. The truth of the matter is, in our communities, even in our church communities, there's a lot of conflict in the home. There's a lot of frustration in the home. The pandemic exasperated this because we had to be stuck home together. There was no escape. And can we just get a witness? Sometimes your family got on your nerves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes your kids, you wanted to tie them up and send them away. I have found as a youth director, summer camp is enjoyment for kids, but it's a break for parents.
Yeah.
People sign up for camps all the time. I think your kids are at camp.
Yep.
And let's be honest, Tina, you are relieved.
Relieved.
It's a break.
Yes.
But I have two parents on the line. I have two people who deal with young people. Today, we want to talk to parents and kids and see if we can give some tips on how to prove parent-child conflict management. Now, let me encourage a parent out there right now. If you're having conflict with your child, don't feel as if you're alone. I'm going to talk to a young person out there. If you're having conflict with your parent, don't feel like you're alone. You're not alone, okay? As a matter of fact, there was conflict in heaven.
Mm.
You believe that?
Mm.
God himself had issues with one of his most elevated creating beings. So much so, the Bible tells us that there was war in heaven. War in heaven. And a third of the angels chose to leave, then follow God's rules, including Lucifer. So you are not unique. If there was war in heaven, there can definitely be war in your home. But we're just going to give some easy tips, some things that can help you out. But let's begin today with the roots of conflict. Phaidra, Miss Wright, if you could tell us today, what are some roots of parent-child conflict? What are some things that causes conflict in the home? You can speak from your experience, or you can, give some anecdotal things about roots of conflict in the home.
Interestingly enough, the TikTok that you show is an excellent demonstration of roots of conflict. We're in an interesting age, this wokeness age, where as parents, we're sometimes stuck between old school parenting and being more aware of emotions and the emotional needs of our children. And as we watched that TikTok video, the child was in distress, the parent was laughing. This is not to cause it's not to cause judgment. It's just something to think about, because one of the roots of conflict is just simply being disconnected, not picking up on symbols, not symbols, displays of distress or lack or needing something. So I would say that's the biggest thing, just being a disconnect. So being more purposeful about trying to connect parent to child and child to parent. That's one of, to me, the biggest root, that disconnect.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Pastor Carriger, what are some roots of conflict between parent and child?
I would co-sign on what she just said and just also simply add disruption in the home. If the home is not stable and there's disruption, that can create conflict, because even though as parents we want to provide stability, sometimes there just isn't. And kids pick up on unstable environments, and they're looking to you and I for guidance and direction. And if we aren't able to provide that, that creates conflict. But also just being able for children to have for their knowledge, their feelings to be acknowledged. In the Black household, sometimes you ain't allowed to have a feeling and emotions. I know when I was growing up, I was not allowed to feel hurt or to be angry about nothing. We were just told to do what we're told and move on. And so when we don't allow for kids to have feelings and for those feelings to be acknowledged, that can create conflict.
Yeah. Wow. Great insights. You too can share with us roots of conflict Pastor Newbill has shared with us, and he says that the roots of conflict I've seen encompass lies and deceit, family dysfunction and dynamics, and even hypocrisy.
Yes.
What
Yes.
a great point. We pass down generationally trauma.
Yes. Yes.
So if your parents were not good to them, there's a good chance it may be passed down to you. This is most commonly known as generational curses, you know, where we suffer from things, particularly in the church, because in the church, we want to put forth this good front that we have it together, that we are perfect. You argue all the way to church, and then you get there, it's happy Sabbath, happy Sabbath. And the whole family's fighting, you know, when they get to church. We want to cover up things like abuse and divorce and teen pregnancy and things like that. And we're really broken, and we don't teach young people how to cope with that. So all of those things can be roots of conflict. And a big root that we don't talk about often is when all families are not nuclear families. All of them isn't mom, dad, and children. As a matter of fact, in the Black community, the most prevalent family unit we're seeing more and more is young grandmother, young mother, and child. That's the I see that a lot. Even watching the NBA draft the other day, and watching all these young men getting drafted, it was mother and grandmother. Was there. They did so many features on mother. And I even asked my wife out loud, are these all immaculate conceptions? Like where's the dad?
Exactly.
What's going on? So these are all sorts sources and roots of conflict. Thank you for your affirmation, Pastor. So if we're aware of these roots of conflict, let's address some things kind of directly. In 2022, what type of boundaries should exist between parent and child? Okay. And I want some honest discussion upon this. When I was growing up, there was no such thing as privacy. Okay. I couldn't close my door, put on some headphones, and just be up there all day. There was no such thing as if I'm going to church. Okay. No one ever asked me, would you like to go to church today? There was no such thing. There was no such thing. Okay. Never happened. I had to contribute in the home. I had chores, and I know not of such a thing as an allowance. Okay. That was just what you were supposed to do.
Yes.
Give me some insights, Tina, on boundaries. What type of boundaries should exist? Should they exist? Do lack of boundaries promote conflict? Let's talk about that. The floor is yours, ma'am.
So, one, I think a good boundary is we are not friends. I am not your friend. I am your mother. I'm your parent. We don't, we are not homies. That's not how this works. I am preparing you for life. I correct you. I love you. I discipline you. You know, I am your authority. I think that's one boundary. But, you know, also, oh man, I'm having a senior moment. I think that I don't think that my kids don't have they don't have privacy. I mean, I can come in and out of their rooms whenever I want to. I often do, because normally their rooms are a mess and they got to keep them clean. They can't just come in my room whenever they want to. They have to ask for permission. My children have chores and they don't get allowance. You know, I was watching, this is where I was going. I was
Nebraska's not all that bad. I love it.
Oh my Lord, here we go. I was watching a comedian that I think really encapsulates the type of parenting child situation we have in 2022, that we were parents that kind of grew up in the hood, but we're raising suburban kids. And so a lot of times our kids, because we are starting our children in often a better situation than what we had, they're growing up slightly spoiled. So we also have to do the work of keeping them balanced and grounded and humble. So nah, man, my kids they don't just get to do whatever they want to do and throw fits. They will get a beat down. And
Wow.
I feel safe
Don't go.
saying
Hold
that.
on. Watch what you say. Don't go to jail today. Come
Listen,
on.
no, you already talked, and I was just about to say, I feel safe enough to say that because you already talked about tying kids up and whatever you said earlier. So they coming for you first.
Listen, FBI, I was joking. All right, Peanut is for real.
Whatever, but no, but those are the last resort. I don't beat them first. That's the last resort. But my kids have chores. They have responsibilities because I tell them you're responsible. You have to know how to live outside of this, outside of our home when you become an adult, and you can't learn how to take care of yourself if you're not doing that now. So you got to clean up your room. You got to do dishes. You got to take out the trash. You need to know how to put your stuff in the washing machine. Amen, somebody. That's how I grew up. I grew up being raised. I had responsibilities. My kids are no different. And let me say this also. These kids have the capacity to do that kind of stuff. There are kids in other countries that have far more responsibilities than what our kids have. And they have less than our kids have. So if kids in other countries are able to take on the responsibilities, then sure enough, our kids can. So that's what my motto is, and I think that helps them to develop to be responsible, mature children.
All right, Phaidra, you're an educator, you're a parent. Let's talk about boundaries. Let's talk about lines. Let's talk about mama, respect my privacy, and they turn around and say shut up and close the door and walk away. Like, let's talk about it. What is your take on it?
So when I hear boundaries, I think limits up to here and no more. My kids are fairly young, 10 and about to be 12. And with them, it's the social media time. You have X amount of time, screen time, period. And that's a struggle because honestly, as parents, you may say X amount of time, you go off and cook, you go off and do something else, and you completely forget. And so just teaching them, listen, be honest with this. You were told you need to shut it down at a certain amount of time. So the social media boundaries, and even conversational boundaries. My kids and I, we have pretty open conversations, but sometimes I have to tell them, that's not an appropriate question for a child to ask an adult. So that's another type of boundary that I've encountered within my home, like what you can and cannot say as a child.
Yeah, awesome. I put this comment up here from Sister Bonnet. It says respecting boundaries on both sides. I there is another side to this, and I'm a father of daughters. Okay, very early on, I had to teach them that I'm different. I'm a man. Okay, so I'm not going to be doing certain things with you all because I'm trying to respect the boundary of your physical privacy. Like very early on, I stopped giving them baths, not because I was lazy, but I was teaching them that men shouldn't be looking at your naked body. If they would walk around the house with no clothes on, this and that, I would sound the alarm. I'd be like, naked alert, and they go running, to find some clothes. I wanted them to know that I respect their body as their private thing, and your mom has something in common with you. But even as they got older, she taught them, now it's your responsibility to wash yourself, to clean yourself, to take care of yourself. And what that teaches is not only is the body sacred, but the body is private. Okay. And so that's a boundary that I respect with my daughter. I have a 12-year-old and an 8-year-old. I'm not giving them baths. You know what I mean? No, I don't want to see that ever at all. Okay. And they have a respect for their natural bodies that it should be kept sacred and private. Okay. Let's get to some of the comments. This is a good discussion. A very good discussion.
I'm going to jump in on as a boy mom. Teaching my boys no means no. It doesn't mean try harder. It doesn't mean it's a challenge. It doesn't mean laugh. having to go through the whole litany. Has somebody asked you to do this? Has somebody asked you to take a picture of that? Has somebody asked you to touch this? Have you asked, because you just never know. So having those open conversations where you are
Yes.
asking your kids direct, specific questions. Are you doing this? Has somebody asked you to do that, so that they realize it's not okay? I find it interesting when you read in the Old Testament how, especially in the Mosaic time period, when the law was being read, it was read in front of everybody.
Yeah.
The men, the women, the children. Don't unskirt your father's mother. Don't unskirt your father's wife. Don't make this visible. And I remember reading it to my kids, and they got uncomfortable. They're like, why are we reading this? And I'm like, why are we so afraid to tell them this? But I feel like there is kind of a perverted reason. Like if we're not this open, then they won't know that it's wrong.
Right.
But if we're more open, like, hey, you don't need to be seeing this, from an early age, then they know, hey, wait a minute, that's not right. Somebody is crossing a boundary. And I know, because my parents have told me this is a boundary that doesn't need to be crossed.
Right. You have to set limits. You have to set a line. I grew up with a keen understanding of what's right and wrong and where that line was. Now, being a kid, it's human nature to try to go up to that line, but I was terrified to go across it. Because I was taught there are consequences to life. There are things that you have to keep to yourself. Let's run through these comments real quick, and then we'll wrap up with one last thing. Pastor Newbell says the rise of blended families cause struggles as the children feel like they have to side with one of their biological parents, but also the bonus parents may be struggling to show their authority. I've seen that play out too, particularly when there's boys in the home and the bonus parent is the man, and the boys feel as if when the parents are arguing, they have to protect their biological mom from their stepdad, and it gets intense, particularly with teenage boys. That can be a cause of conflict. Tony, I'm glad your daughter's with you too. I'm glad that parents are watching this together with their young people, and hopefully we can find balance and give some advice. Pastor Tina, they are loving what you had to say. Let's see who else we have. I don't want to leave some of these out. There's Peggy threatening violence to to her children if they talk back. Pastor Newbell says, I have an app on my phone that controls the amount of time my children are signed into their devices. Tomorrow or Friday, we're going to do a mini social media seminar. A lot of parents don't even know what the different social media apps do, and some kids are getting over it. Okay. And so we're going to definitely be talking about that. Educational formation is key in developing parent-child sincere relationship and can help integrate good and effective boundaries. And it says here, and I think this is Chloe, my mom and I are watching, and I'm very, very proud of that, and I'm happy about that. All right. So let's deal with something controversial. Is spanking still relevant and effective? That now I didn't say whooping, because some of us were whooped. Okay, some of us were abused. Come on, let's keep it real. Some of us were abused.
Yes, you said some of us were abused.
It was child abuse. It really was. Okay, and we look back on it and we said we benefited from it, but it doesn't change that it wasn't.
Yeah,
it was abuse.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But I'm asking today, just among us and our friends who are watching online, is, in your opinion, is spanking something that should be encouraged, or is it effective? No judgment here. Let's get comments. Let's talk about it, and let's not glorify any type of abuse. You know, okay, you turned out right, but make no mistake about it. When they burned you with the iron, it was abuse. Okay, when it was abuse. when they tied the extension cord together to
Woo!
keep you upside the head, it was abuse.
Mercy.
But you turned out right. So the question is,
Mhm.
is spanking still effective? Phaidra, talk to us.
You have to know your child and age slow. Um, I got my last spanking outside of church, and I probably deserved it. I was probably being mouthy and attitudinal. I was 12 or 13, but that was my last spanking. Um, some kids, it's not effective. And so, like I said, you just have to know your kids, and it shouldn't be the first recourse.
Okay.
There should be levels of progression. There's a warning, and then, whatever you see works best with your child. Sometimes just talking to them. There's a book that was popular about fill your bucket, being bucket fillers. And sometimes kids are acting up because there's some need that's being unfulfilled. And sometimes when we get to the root of the problem, it'll reduce behavior issues. But like I said, know your child. It works on some kids. Some kids, you could whoop them every day. And I got to the point, I'm just like, this is not effective. We're not doing this anymore. Let's find some other ways to try to get the results that I'm looking for. So know your child.
Tina, Pastor Carriger.
Yeah, so I agree. It's funny that you talked about not glorifying abuse. I actually, when I was probably in my middle 20s, and some of y'all looking at me like, but she looks like she's only 20. No, I'm not. I'm 40. But I remember one time going
Humble
to
brag. Nobody said that.
whatever. Don't hate, appreciate. I was over at a church member's house, and there was a, when you tell your war stories about the worst whooping you ever got. And so, I was just being a part of the conversation, and everything was jovial and jokey and whatever. And then I told my story, and they were like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Go arrest your mama.
exactly. I didn't realize, that the ways that our parents and grandparents were brought up, that they would have been arrested if we had been courageous enough to call somebody on them, which we weren't. But no, I do believe in disciplining my child and spanking them, although they don't get it very often. Like she said, one of my kids, my middle son Braxton, I mean, he cannot stand having a long conversation with. If I got to sit down and talk to him, he's like, "Mom, are you finished yet? Are you fit?" Like this, it like me having to do a whole discourse with him is torture. It gets his attention. My daughter, her fear is my disappointment. So if I say I'm disappointed in you,
Oh man,
it is like
yeah.
major for her.
Yeah.
And so I don't have to do nothing. Now, my youngest son, on the other hand, Benjamin, that Negro, he might have to get it quite a few times before he gets corrected. But I've learned to assess the type of learning styles that my children have, and so I discipline them according to a way. And I mean, sometimes it leaves me no other choice. I will do the best that I can to abstain from using that method. But if if they're not listening, if I have no other options, that's the one that gets the attention. And then they learn from that, and they're like, okay, I don't want that to happen again. And so, we kind of roll with that. So that's my I agree with her. Know your children, use the methods that work, but if worst case scenario, you got to put it down.
Yeah, that's wonderful insights. I have made it my purpose to moderate myself before my children are disciplined.
Ah, yes.
I have testosterone flowing through my veins. I'm a big person. My children for the rest of their life are going to be smaller than me. And I also don't want them to think that men solve things through violence. That's acceptable. Now, let me say this. When they were younger, I set a baseline. Okay, they got spanked. They set a baseline. I found that my authority was established through a plethora of disciplinary tools, where as they matured and got older, it just wasn't necessary. It was overkill. And they haven't got spanked in a long time. You know what I mean? It's been years, but it was just overkill, and it was just me not using my words. It was me not, having the courage to kind of explain it to them and break it down. They feared my displeasure, and your children. Let me say this right in biblical terms. Your children should have a healthy fear / respect for you. You've lost the war. If they're like, she ain't gonna do nothing. She ain't gonna do it. Well, you're in deep water right now. There should be a piece of them that says, what if he find out? What if he know? Oh, I don't want to take this report card home. That should be established. It doesn't have to be established through abuse.
Yeah.
But yeah, spanking was part of my repertoire. It doesn't happen that much now. They were not nearly as much spanked as I was spanked.
Oh, yes.
No, let me just go and correct that. I don't think I was ever spanked. I don't think it was ever stop. No, that wasn't my experience. I could get a gold medal for the acrobatic ability I exhibited trying to get away from stuff. You know what I'm saying? I was a pure gymnast. Simone Biles had nothing on me. Nothing. All right. Because it was an Olympic sport. Okay.
Yo, can I tell a story?
Yeah, go ahead.
So when I think I'll never forget this for whatever reason. I think I was 8 or 9, and my mom told me that I was about to get a whooping. And they say drop your pants. So because I knew that was the custom, and I knew that a whooping was coming, I went to my drawer and I put on like 18 pairs of drawers.
Oh, come on.
And so I thought, okay, she's gonna spank me, no problem. I'm not even gonna feel it because I'm covered in drawers. So she said, okay, pull down your pants. So I did that. And then she saw like a thick layer of panties. And so she said, pull that one down. So I pulled it down. There was another one. And so I was standing there for like 5 minutes, just pulling down one pair of drawers after another. And she started laughing because real talk, it was funny. So I figured I made her laugh because I pulled a prank on her, so she can spank me all she wants to, but it's not going to affect me. But the biggest disappointment was that once I got past all the draws came down, she still beat me. I was like, what in the world? How can you laugh in one moment, entertained by the moment, and still give me the whooping? I was so disappointed.
Yeah, that's a lot of us have been through that. That don't work. I'm telling you now, young people, that don't work. And the worst is when you thought you got away with it.
Yes.
And they get you fresh out the tub.
Oh my goodness, yes. Or they wake you up that way.
Yeah. You thought you got away with it. Ate dinner. Everybody's laughing. You cracking awkward jokes. Hey, Mom, I love you. Man, I really appreciate you.
Yes.
And next thing you know, in the middle of the night,
yes,
you woke up.
Yes.
I like what Willie Roy says. This is my uncle, by the way, who helped raise me. Kids should know spanking is a responsibility. You shouldn't have to spank often, and don't spank in anger. That's word right there. Yep. I think that's great advice. But they should know it's a possibility.
Yep.
I like that. I agree. If you discipline young, you don't have to do it as frequently as when they're older. There comes a point that if you're beating a 15, 16, 17-year-old kid, you just don't like them. You resent them. They look like their daddy or their mama, and you're taking it out on them. Like there comes a point where you should be able to reason with someone who's on the verge of becoming an adult. You know what I mean? There should be things in place that you work with. Phaidra, I'm gonna give you the last word on this.
Going back to communication, and because this is a Christian broadcast, talking to God, that Holy Spirit will let you know if it's a lack. If the kid needs a hug, they're acting up because they need a hug. They're acting up because something's going on at school. They're being bullied. So being connected to God will really help. I'm going to tell you, I'm team struggle parent here. I have 2 boys, and there's certain things that I'm trying to reclaim because I didn't get it right the first time.
Mercy.
But I feel like talking to them as if they are human beings. Like when I spank them, I tell them, "This is unfortunate because animals have to be beat into submission." Not saying that
Wow.
I beat them, but animals. I said, "You're a human being. I should be able to speak to you the amount of sense that you have. I should be able to speak to you. And at this point, this is just blatant disobedience, and you're choosing to do the wrong thing." And so, appealing to their desire, they both have given their heart to God. Listen, you're a child of God. There's some things that He requires because He wants you to have a happy, healthy life. Life is filled with boundaries to keep you safe. And so just instilling in them and the hope to want to live for God and
Wow.
please Him.
Right. Well, we're running out of time. And this has been a great day, a great discussion, probably our longest discussion all week. We try to stay under an hour, but I think people got a lot out of it. In a sentence, give a parent and a child who's dealing with conflict some spiritual advice. Some spiritual advice. 1 or 2 sentences, some spiritual advice. Pastor Carriger, we'll begin with you.
I like what Sister Wright said about talking to the Lord. As parents, we got to be humble enough to get on our knees and ask God for wisdom, guidance, and direction. Just because we were raised one way does not mean that we should parent a certain type of way. And we need God's guidance. And so the Holy Spirit will definitely give us insight on how to see things through His perspective on what's happening with our children, lift them up at the end, desire for them to be saved. And so I just ask the Lord, what can I do to assist in the salvation of my children?
Awesome. Awesome advice. Awesome advice. Spiritual advice, Phaidra?
Listen,
Mm.
listening to each other, listening to the Holy Spirit. I try to tell my kids the same prayer I pray, well, the same prayer I tell you to pray is the prayer I have to pray, the same prayer your grandparents and your great grandparents. That's given me listening ears, obedient heart, cooperative spirit. Fill me with the Holy Spirit so that I can contribute to a peaceful atmosphere.
Also, let me say one more thing. And parents, don't be too prideful to apologize. When you have crossed a line, or if you have responded in a way that you know is ungodly or unlike your character, don't be too afraid or ashamed to say to your child, "I'm sorry." That goes a long way.
I agree, Quenisha. Praying with and for your children daily makes the difference. All right. It really does. Listen to what your kids are saying. Honor your mother and father, for this is right. I agree, Pastor McLean. Frederick McLean. I definitely agree. Thanks for joining us too, Mark Paul. Always good to have you in the house. I would say in closing, speak life to your children. Speak life. It becomes a part of them. You know, I often tell my daughters, "You're so pretty. You're so beautiful." And it means something to them. I'm proud of you. You're my child. There's nothing you can do to make me stop loving you. My grandmother used to speak that into me, and it propelled me in life. And young people, speak life into your parents. Your parents are exhausted. They are tired, but they love you more than anything. They love you more than anything. But it'll make their day to say, "Mom, I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. You're an awesome mom. Dad, you still got it. Denzel ain't got nothing on you." You know what I mean? That make you feel good, make you feel good. And it goes a long way. Okay. It really goes a long way. I want to thank all of you for joining us who commented and participated in our program today. I especially want to thank Miss Phaidra Wright. And you saw her information earlier. If you want to get in contact with her, She has a nonprofit that has educational services and tutoring. You don't want to miss out on what she has to offer. That's how you can get in touch with her. If you missed this information, come back to the broadcast and see it again. I'd also like to thank Pastor Tina Carriger, one of the best pastors in the United States, who's doing phenomenal work at her church, at the First Church in Springfield, Tennessee. We thank you as well, and thank you for joining us today at our current events and hot topic discussion for the South Atlantic Conference Youth and Young Adult Camp Meeting, Hope Beyond the Headlines. I'm your youth director, Dr. Donovan Washington. It's a joy of my life to serve you. I really appreciate all of you all, and we'll see you again tonight, 6 o'clock for worship. And listen, we got a special guest tonight. The youth director of the Northeastern Conference is our speaker, none other than Dr. Paula Olivier. And you don't want to miss out on that. Good friend of mine, classmate. She's coming to bring the word tonight. We're going to have good music and awesome young adult co-hosts. We'll see you tonight at 6, and we'll be right back here tomorrow at noon for this. Thank you for joining us, and never forget that if God be for us, who can be against us? Love y'all. God bless you. Have a great day.
Okay.